Everyone can rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Egg Harbor City Council Budget Workshop scheduled for 6 p.m. June 10th, 2021. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Egg Harbor City County Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette, the duties of President Current. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and social distancing requirements, the meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website and Channel 97. Roll call, please.
Mayor Petty. Brown.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Clark. Dash.
Here.
Heist. Here. Sefton. Here. Timbers. Trithol.
Dash.
Wright.
Here.
Ritchie.
Here.
Is it on? I just want
Just to make note, Tia Brown is on there.
I just want to confirm.
Tia Brown is on. She's muted for me.
Yeah, Mathea Brown is on. She's muted, so maybe.
I
she,
said here when she called my name.
Just muted us. Here she comes.
Tia.
Yes.
I mean,
Brown.
I'm not muted. It's unmuted.
What's the volume down to? That's what I'm checking now.
It's not muted.
no.
Maybe because I have this muted.
Brown.
Hello.
Little technical difficulty with this, I think, that's 1 minute.
This. Clark.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
Timbers. Trithol.
All right, moving forward, I'd like to open up the budget workshop. May I have a motion, please? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so obviously we've been waiting a little over a month now to get word from the state as far as the allocation from the ARP funding. With that, I'll turn it over to Jody so she can fully explain the information she has received in the past several days.
So, the Division of Local Government Services finally issued some guidance late Friday evening. So our allocation that we have been allocated as part of the American Recovery ARP fund, is $424,000. Now that's the total we'll get. It's going to be paid basically, they keep calling it tranches, I guess, two disbursements, or not disbursements, but two portions, one this year and then one next year. That doesn't mean we will get $412,000. That is the most that we could get basically through, there's a few different ways that you can utilize the funds. So depending on how you're using it, that is the most that we could. It's not just a straight distribution that they're giving to the municipalities. So there is basically 4 main ways that you can use it. One is a revenue in your budget, which I'll kind of talk more about that, because for us that's going to really wind up being the majority of the way that we're going to use it. The second is you can kind of use it as sort of a grant to offset expenses that are COVID related. The third is for some economic development and some different options that way. There's not really any, Leon has advised that we try to stick to the first 2 basically at this point, because that's where the most guidance is. And the rules, and they kind of keep changing already, so you just kind of want to be careful, because we don't want to have to obviously pay anything back at some point. And then the fourth one is to investing water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. So we have, I don't know if I already say this, we have basically through 2024 to use this money, so it does not all have to be used in this year's budget and next year's budget. So replacing the revenue, lost revenue, we thought originally it was kind of going to be where we revenue, actually that won't be lost, but we've got to come up with the money for that, and it's strictly, you basically fill out this worksheet that the Division of Local Government Services has created, and that tells you the maximum amount of revenue that you can put in. So basically, it's just a new line item in your budget of revenue, kind of offset things that you may have lost in the past. Our amount for 2021 that we can put in is 204,000 is our max amount. I'm not saying we should put that amount in, and I'll kind of go over that, but that is the maximum amount that we could put in our budget this year. I guess we should kind of go through revenues first, which I don't really have, besides this, I don't really have any other changes. My thought is we had used when we originally got down, right now we're at a 5.3 cent increase is what our introduced budget had. To get us down to that, we put in that reserve for land sales that we had talked about. My thought is maybe my original thought was kind of let's maybe use half of that 212 that we have for this year, put in about 100 and something. I think in addition to that, maybe another chunk, maybe let's say my kind of just original thought was, and again, council's decision, you can change it, you can do whatever you want. My original kind of thought was maybe another 50,000, and then we can reduce that reserve for land sale by that 50,000, because that's money that we can do anything with, that is ours. We don't have to like fill out a formula from the state, because what if next year we can't, that formula isn't in our favor and we can't really put in any of this revenue, then we won't have it. And but that reserve for land sale money, if we put that back in our, reserves, that's ours to use whenever we, need to for a rainy day. So that was just my kind of thought. Another thing is the grant side of it that I mentioned can only be used for COVID expenses. So like having Ray spray, the disinfectant that we buy, things like that, we can set aside money and use a little bit of that to offset that. But we can't use it for anything else that might be like, let's say, a one-time thing that we talked about the subdivision last time. So we could put in extra revenue, and then we could put in a line item for the subdivision, but it's not, because we're not doing it the grant way, we're just subsidizing with revenue. That revenue we can use any way we want. But knowing that next year we're not going to have that, so it's not creating a hole, because next year we're not going to have that subdivision. I need to have to equal, up to again. So my thought was, if we are going to use some more of it, let's use it for one-shot things that aren't going to create a hole. So right now, the draft that I have, that's what I put in. We can change anything. Obviously, we put in whatever we want tonight, and we'll adopt the amendment once we go into the regular council meeting. Depending on any other changes that we make, anything I did as of now, which I'll go over other changes that I had made, does not require a new public hearing. We could adopt the budget with these changes tonight. If you're lowering taxes, the state does not make you have a new public hearing and advertise. You can just go ahead and adopt once you make that amendment. So any of the changes that I have in here fall within the guidelines that do not require a new. I mean, obviously we could change it if you want to, if there's something major that we do want to do, that doesn't, we can have it adopted the next meeting, but potentially tonight we could adopt the budget. On the revenue side, like I said, those are the only changes right now that I have put in. Is just putting in the COVID money at 100. I think it was 102 is what we needed to get us to a 0 from the 5.3. I put in another 50 back to that out of the reserve for land sales, and then I put in money 19 for that subdivision, and then over on the appropriation side, I added in an appropriation for the subdivision under the land use to have the engineers do that. We don't have to do any of that. That is just what I have in my draft for discussion purposes. So we can decide. And then, do you want to talk about that first, or are we going to go over all the changes I made?
Continue with the change.
Okay. So the only other changes that I made are really just kind of, I just sort of went through where we're sort of at this point of the year. Normally we have a budget done in other states, you don't really get any flexibility, but we're almost halfway through the year and we don't have a budget. So I kind of just went through line item by line item to see if anything kind of needed more or to be kind of moved around. So buildings and grounds, honestly, I would have liked to bump it up even more, but without triggering that whole public hearing, hopefully we can manage to get through. I bumped that up 2,500, because that is pretty much the amount that we could, you're allowed to change a line item by 10%. If you do any more than 10%, have a public hearing on it. I brought down public work salaries by 5,000 once I relooked at the numbers. And because check was out for part of the year, we went down a little bit, so kind of move that around. Other expenses, I bumped up 2,500 for public works. The vehicle maintenance has been kind of high already. We're not even halfway through the year, and we're within 5 months, and we're already halfway through the budget that we have. So I bumped that up 10,000. And I looked to see what we had last year. I still don't think it'll be enough to cover it, but hopefully we can manage to the end of to November when we can do transfers. And if something catastrophic happens, we can always do an emergency appropriation. You know, if one of the cars really has a huge something that's unanticipated, then you know, we can always try to do that. Hopefully we won't need to, but if we had to. And I brought down telephone $1,000. Gasoline I bumped up because obviously gas prices have been going up. Last year was quite low, but now that the prices have started to go up again, we were kind of running a little high on that, so I moved a little bit to that. And then natural gas I just brought down a little bit to try to offset those utilities to not really have a major impact. And then I brought down the group health insurance. Once I looked at it, I brought that down. So that changed just slightly. But no, I tried to make that all equate each other so there's no impact to the actual budget in the totals. I just moved from one line item to another. So that's all I had. I know it's a lot. So take a minute, think about it, think of any questions that you have, or what, you know, if you want to give me your, you know, if everyone maybe want to go around and see what everyone's thoughts are about that, the COVID revenue, you know, what everyone's thinking. One other thing. So we have some capital things that we kind of need to discuss, which we don't absolutely have to do really in the budget. We can do an ordinance at some point, but two things. One, we need to come up with the engineering for the fiscal year 2020 NJDOT grant, which potentially we had done on an ordinance, I think it was in 19 for the parking lot and various roads. We might be able to use some of that, but we might not have to come up with the whole thing. And then we have the grant for the dam for $10,000. So Ryan was able to have a contractor look out there. We had Public Works did some work, but it wasn't that much money. And honestly, as of now, most of that's been in the budget. We could reallocate it and charge it to the grant. I think it would make more sense since they've already sort of done that and it wasn't very much. I think we should try to use it for something a little more substantial.
Just leave it alone and use that money.
Right, exactly. So, the quote that he got, there were a few different items on there, but the one that, Brian, sorry, if you want to interrupt.
Yeah, the one that's the most urgent is the pier caps of the spillway. One is completely fractured and like displaced. It's not a matter of time before some stand up and just rotates and falls. And on all of them should have the same signs where it's sort of splintered back down and you see it, the calcium leach out. So both sides and then the middle require some repairs. So the quote that was like 20,000 to replace all of that spalled concrete that's sort of falling. So that was sort of the most urgent thing. There's some other things on the backside of the dam, but they're really all interdependent. There's no sense replacing the bridge if you don't do the timber wing walls. The timber wing walls, you have two parts of the concrete repair was behind that. Sort of one of those things like once you touch one, you got to be all in. So the 20,000 for the spillway and pier caps is really the easiest thing to do, and frankly, the most urgent. So that was our recommendation.
So my goal is obviously we already have 10 we could put towards that. You know, it might make sense to try to do, you know, again, we don't have to put, we could possibly use more money to offset that, or if we want to just wait and we could do an ordinance at some, you know, coming up sooner than later, but I just kind of wanted to like discuss these items and kind of see what you think. Those are the two main things that I would think of. And then possibly we cars as well, so possibly the ordinance will lead also talked about maybe leasing it instead, so that way, we wouldn't have to really do the ordinance, we can spread that out. And if the budget kind of continues the last couple of weeks, it probably would, wouldn't be detrimental to the budget to do that. So, and potentially with the lease, we could also, I know in the past, I think when we did, I don't remember if it was the, minutes that you couldn't hear you. Oh, sorry.
Repeat. All right, so what we're talking about is the most urgent thing that is, needs to be done is the caps on the ends of the pier and the spillway. They're fractured like completely through, and the one is a bit displaced. So for about, I can't remember, it was $20,000 or $21,000 was the quote that we received. Obviously, we still have to get another 1 or 2 quotes. But that's, the neighborhood that you're looking at to replace those concrete ends of the spillway. And again, we identified that as the most urgent thing, the most urgent need at the lake and dam.
So referring to the lake and dam, what would be the more responsible way to go?
I guess we could put together an ordinance maybe, and then that way we could kind of do maybe, we could do various projects, if there's other things that but maybe we should kind of come up with like a list, or I kept trying to sort of hold off till next year, because if we're in such, depending on what happens with the water treatment plant, we might be able to do a lot of other projects, so I kind of wanted us to only really do what's absolutely like sort of urgent right now. And obviously, those two things are pretty time sensitive. We have to get to DOT, we have to finish the design, otherwise we're gonna lose that grant, so that cannot wait till next year. And the dam, we have the grant from Sustainable Jersey, so we should move on that. So, I guess my thought is maybe we do another, we just did a capital ordinance for the pole barn, we'll still have a little bit of money left, so I could take a look, and if we got if we get an idea. And I can take a look at that other road ordinance that we have. We might, between the two of those, maybe we don't have to issue any additional debt or anything. We could just use that to fund it. So I think I guess I would say I'm leaning more towards doing it as an ordinance, because I don't want to see us use all that money just because if you can use it through 2024, I just would rather. Again, I can't guarantee that we'll qualify to use it next year based on that revenue analysis that you have to do, but at the same time, we should at least be conservative, so that way if we do need it and we have the ability.
It's always good to have that security.
Exactly. So, and if they can't actually, even now that I'm thinking of it, an alternative is if we did do the ordinance, and if for some reason we needed to issue debt, if we had that money in the future, we could always offset the debt that if we do have the ability to use it next year, and we decided, hey, we did this, but we didn't really need to, we could offset some of that in the future. We could pay it off basically in the future.
Brian, how long has it been since we were supposed to fix that dam? I think we're pretty much.
Well,
back then. So-
yeah, they changed their reporting requirements in 2016, I guess. They added a category that is considered fair. Before that, it was just acceptable or not. Really, I just find it to be acceptable. Once they added fair, it's fair. Not required repairs, so it's been.
So it has to be repaired.
Those repairs, technically, you can meet the dam safety rules, you do have to make repairs, you do have to make progress on it.
And I would mention that it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we could actually have another earthquake around here, which we did. And we lost the other side, the other dam, we had to do an emergency,
The spillway, yeah, well, that,
we had to
it's
do
a
an
combination of
emergency.
that and you get vegetated growth. The roots just eat between and then the water erodes.
We had a sinkhole out there too.
Spillway.
We had a big sinkhole here. You gotta fix these things because you never know what
Especially
could
if it's a
happen.
liability, someone can get hurt, some kid climbs on.
Well, that's, as we were there, that one pier is completely broken off, it's fractured and displaced an inch or two. So it's completely, just, its own weight is what's holding it there, and maybe whatever rebars inside, but it's moved a couple inches already. So it's just sort of a matter of time before it.
So can you just clarify? So basically we can use 212,000.
Well, our revenue 212 is what the total we use between the grant portion and the revenue portion.
So you're proposing 102,000 towards revenue and then 50,000 land use.
Well, another 50 into the revenue portion. portion.
Okay.
And then we would take that out of the revenue for the reserve for land sales. Right now, we have 94,000 in as a revenue from reserve for
Okay.
land sales. I would reduce that by the 50,000 that we'd be putting in
I got you.
under that. So using 54 of the COVID money.
And
Just
these-
with the reserve, like I said, we could use that whenever we have our own discretion to use that
Okay.
however we want.
And will that get us to a zero flat tax?
Yes, and the only other, I also have another 19,000 put in right now for the subdivision. So if you want to move forward, we don't have to, and there's, we could hold off on the subdivision for now. We could do an emergency appropriation sometime later in the year, once the budget's adopted. It wouldn't have to go until next year. But my thought is, if we want to move forward, we know we have that, do it. If we have land sale money next year, we'll have
And
revenue.
we're thinking next year will be more financially solid.
Hopefully.
Right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, not only the
Get
sim,
rid of some.
sim,
Already seen what the reality is.
But, I mean, at least, assuming the sale goes through by the end of the year, I mean, at least if we assuming we're paying off all the debt, I mean, right there is
That's like 2 point something million municipal, right?
we have a little under 2 million, I think, right now, but we pay like about 200 to 300 a year in debt service.
Okay.
and then we'll also have the offset it when we get the solar done. That'll also bring our utilities down, so that'll help also.
To me, it sounds like a solid financial plan.
You have,
Don't
anything
get
else?
nervous, like, maybe, because I can't predict the future, so, I try to be conservative, but I know, we obviously want to try to do what we can to get. And that, right now, all those numbers that I discussed, has it at zero for our local tax.
So do you have anything else to present?
I do.
Okay, so, moving forward, obviously, I think it's in all of our best interest to get this passed tonight. And to work in the best interest of the town. So, I'll open it up to anybody on council. I'll go around. Anybody has any comments or questions, throw them out there. And then at the end, once we all discuss, have an open discussion with the questions and comments, at the end, we'll do a strong vote. We'll, adjourn, and then when we come back for regular meeting, resolution number 14, 15, and 16 on the agenda. Hopefully, we can move forward with the, amending and approving of the budget. So with that, I'll start with you, Councilwoman Heiss.
Now, I agree with Jody. I think, she's making the best financial decisions for us, so I think it's a solid deal, and we should approve it tonight.
Councilwoman Sefton.
Feel the same way. I think Jody came up with great ideas. Yeah, I think we should get it over, vote on it tonight.
Councilwoman Brown, if you can unmute, if you have any questions or comments?
No, I agree with everybody else up there. I think Jody did an awesome job. Once again, thanks Jody for your hard work. And I think we should adopt that budget tonight.
Is, Councilman Dash?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable. Jody answered my questions. It sounds like a solid financial deal to me. I've always thought that the city's never had a spending problem. It's just had an income problem. So I applaud you for making all this work.
Councilman Tracco, you on? Councilman Timbers, you have any questions or comments?
No question or comments, other than to say, thanks Jody for doing your best on this. Appreciate it.
Councilman Ray.
I agree with Jody. I mean, every year she works her magic and really appreciate it.
How you do, because I agree with you, like, we run on a shoestring here,
Yeah.
we really do. I mean, everyone knows, take my hand when I need something, really? Let me find a cheaper way to do it.
I really appreciate it.
All right, so, I'll finish with it. Jody, thank you. Obviously, the diligent work that has been done over the past couple months since we introduced. Oh, I'm sorry. So, thank you. Since we introduced a 12.5% increase initially to get it down to zero. I mean, obviously, in light of the financial help from the ARP, it is great. Also want to thank everybody that was sitting in front of us. That you guys all did the due to. You're also did your due diligence in helping us on council and the residents to get to where we are with this budget. So other than that, I'd like to go around the guys and do a straw vote. I mean, obviously, it sounds like we're unanimous, but just to get the straw vote out there so we know what we're looking at moving forward in a half hour. So I'll start with you, Councilwoman Nice.
I'm voting on,
Just yes or no.
what am I voting on?
Accepting the budget, the straw vote.
When you didn't say that, so I'm like, I could be voting on what you're having for dinner. Yes.
All right. Councilwoman Lisa.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brown.
Yes.
Councilman Dash.
Yes.
Councilman Timbers.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
I also am in favor. Ingrid's not on, right?
Not on right now. She said she might need to log back in later.
Okay. All right, so with that, if nobody else has any questions or comments regarding the budget, I can have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we'll see everybody in 30 minutes. I'd like to welcome everybody back to the regularly scheduled council meeting for June 10th, 2021. And those that are new, to move forward, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 27th, 2021?
So,
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public have any comment on any item on the agenda? All right. Mayor, your report, please.
Yes, I would just like to thank Rudolph Elmer, Post 158, American Legion, and the Ladies Auxiliary for organizing the Memorial Day service at the cemetery. It was really awesome. Cedar Creek Band was there, Cedar Creek Choir was there. A young lady from Cedar Creek played taps. Fire department participated, and it was very well attended. It was good to see. I saw on my emails that we did not get the sustainable dirt grant, $1,000 that we had applied for. Did you see that, Ryan? It looked like you wanted to say something.
I was moved.
Did he?
I was sort of surprised that I even heard it. 'Cause I hadn't seen it.
And I was just wondering, do you have an update on the meeting with New Jersey Transit? I know there was a lot of emails going on, but I never got
Yeah, so,
confirmation, I don't think, did I?
no, they just wanted to meet with me to sort of go over
Just
what we
you?
had talked
Okay.
about previously. So we met on Tuesday in the afternoon. And I explained to them what council had expressed, that they felt you could eliminate parking on one side of Buffalo and Cincinnati at 30, but we're not open to eliminating parking on either side in residential areas between Route 30 and Marathon. So they said that they, that was fine with them. They would go back and draft up sort of some concept plans and be able to bring them back and, sort of straw poll vote that everyone's on board with that. And then there's lots of processes they have to go through. They have to get that specifically approved for the funding source. But that's what they're doing now. We're prepping plans based on the information.
And then just to mention that Oakcrest senior picnic was at the lake today. It was a really great day for the kids, and they really enjoyed themselves, and they were very grateful to be at the lake. Malco 8th grade class will be there on Thursday, and Cedar Creek will be there next week on the 15th. So the lake's getting a lot of off-season use, which is good because it gives us exposure to people that probably may have never been to the lake. I did talk to a lot of people today that were very impressed by our facility, and they live in Malta and they've never been here, so hopefully they'll visit. And we also like to do everything we can for our students, because they are our students, since we are on magnet. Some of our students go to Oakcrest, and some of our students go to Absegami. So it's a nice thing for the kids, and it's a nice thing for us. That's all I have. I don't have a report for the lake because apparently water bills are going out, and I couldn't get an updated spreadsheet, but I should have that by next week. Next meeting.
All right, thank you. Council Committee Chair reports, we'll start with safety. Councilman Tractor,
Anything, but nothing at this time, but, in 2 weeks, we will have a meeting.
all right. Councilwoman Weiss for highway and primary park and playgrounds.
Nothing on highway, property, parks and playgrounds. There is a resolution, no, and there is an ordinance number 23 on the agenda, to granting an access easement to Kristen Declementi. I just wanted to give a little, history on that. Kristen contacted Angela and Angela told her to contact me. Kristen has been a resident in Egg Harbor City, I can't even tell you how long. And her husband Frank was a prior resident. He was actually our code enforcer for many, many years. Frank passed away and Kristen and Frankie have been living in the home. And she recently discovered that her driveway is on the neighbor's property, on the lot next door. It's not the neighbor because it's owned by the city. Ryan went out there, looked at it, and he said it's approximately 30 to 40 feet onto the other lot. So what we talked about doing, and I sent out an email to the committee, is granting her an easement where she can continue to use her driveway. And then if for some reason that lot does get sold, because the city can still put it up for sale if it's buildable, that easement would stay in place. And that person would either choose to use that driveway or just not use that portion of it, but she would get her easement and she would be able to continue to go into her house. So the same thing happened to us when we bought our house. We didn't have right to pass into our house. We weren't lucky that it was owned by the city, or it was owned by two different people, because the guy put the driveway half on this person's property and half on this person's property. So it took us over 20 months to get the right to pass into our driveway. So, I mean, I feel for her, I understand what she's doing, so I'm hoping you guys, will go with it and, grant that for Kristen. The other thing was, I was approached and asked about maybe trying to organize a movie night at the lake. Maybe once a month, once every other week, and seeing if we could maybe get a farmer's market. We used to do the farmer's market, remember when it was in the park? That maybe somehow we could get that out to the lake in the parking lot along the edge where the, the water is on the ledge, and try to bring some more publicity out to the lake if we can bring things out there. So that's something we can discuss and try to figure out if we can do that.
The only thing I would say with the movies is you do have to have a license.
Right,
So it's like about 2,000.
we were gonna contact Galloway and see how they do it. And I know there are some people, Chris, yes, he did them out at not Allen's, the ice cream parlor before it became South End. He was doing movies there, and I think he actually purchased the license himself and did it. So I can talk to him and see if he has a license. I'm not sure though. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Dash, code.
I'll have the actual code report by the end of June when they submit it. But I will say code enforcement has been very busy in the city. There was quite a few properties that were severely neglected. One especially on St. Louis Avenue, that's bank owned. They've been there. The huge hedges have been cut way down, so there's a big improvement there. So code enforcement's been very busy. They're going out. There was recently some information about a pig being housed in the city. They were attended that. So so they've been very busy.
Another thing.
Right.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Ray, utility.
Yeah, I got the monthly report ending for May 31st. Current, 29,307.48 cents. Year to date, 406,202.39 cents. Sewer, 14,539.70 cents. Year to date, 201 $124.87. Fire, 0 current. Fire year to date, $9,115.27. Interest, year to date, current is $304.89. Year to date, $2,444.14. Tax lien, 0 on both. Lien interest, 0 on both. Cost, 0 on both. Miscellaneous, 0 on both. Bringing the total for current, $44,152.07. The total for year to date is $618,866.67.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Brown, license and ordinance?
We are still, I believe, waiting to hear from Angela before we can proceed with the next ordinance meeting.
All right, is that everything?
Yes, unless you want me to do school board now, which I wasn't able to attend, excuse me, because I had prior obligations. By the time I received the email, it was only 2 days prior.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Timbers, land use, and Aaron Huffin.
Aaron, I'm waiting for the minutes. Land use.
I thought I saw you on the screen. I swear you're on the screen.
For land use, the meeting is the 15th, so the next meeting, I'll find something.
All right, thank you. And Meg, Jeff?
Nothing.
Thank you. Moving on, Director Emery, your public safety report.
He may not be on, he said
He's not on.
Oh, he's not.
So I can just tell you the stats real quick.
Okay.
87 summonses written, 15 arrests, and 509 miscellaneous activities.
That's everything. Okay. Thank you. Jody, your CFO report.
I just have two things. One, I just wanted to thank Steve. He arranged for us to get one of the dog dispenser stations. For two of them, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. And the second thing is just an add-on resolution. JC Custom, they were the developer prior to D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton really is just kind of something for was something for them.
Yeah, there are the builder, JC is still the land developer, still the.
So we had a letter of credit for JC Custom for their performance of the project. So they're asking if we would reduce it down now, and it'll be 15% of the original. The original amount was $157,863.50. If you reduce it down to $23,679.50.
I have a comment on that, though. You know what I'm going to say.
So typically, well, first I'll address what this is. Typically, before the work happens, the developer has to post a performance bond. If they don't perform, if they go bankrupt or whatever, you can pull their money and you can finish the improvements with that money. So they've now completed the paving and everything else on the site, exception of a couple things, striping.
And crosswalks for the students.
Well, that's right. So striping is primarily what is outstanding. But this one, they are substantially complete. So our recommendation is to release what would be traditionally a performance bond. Reducing this to 15% is effectively the same thing as them posting a maintenance bond. You post 15% for 2 years, and that covers anything that fails during that time frame. Same thing, they go out of business, you have 15% of the cost of improvements, you go back and fix it. So that's what this is, but right, so the stop bars have not been painted, the crosswalks, just sort of.
And that could be kind of pricey.
Well,
if they walk away and we give them all their performance bond back.
Well, we'll still be holding 23,000 in the maintenance bond. I would estimate all of the striping should be $6,000, just from striping, stop bars.
Can we give it back to them with the stipulation you get this painted and then we'll release it?
Well, they have to do it anyway. Frankly, the maintenance bond period should really start when they finish the pavings. That's what the vast majority of them should do. So they'll still have to do the striping no matter what. You still have $23,000 in this money. So it's not like you don't have any leverage still. And the way that Jim goes this is sort of not traditional. He literally has that money just sitting in the bank tied up. So normally someone buys a bond and they pay whatever the cost is to maintain that bond. He has $157,000 in cash sitting there just waiting to release a portion of it.
And let me just stress this too. You remember the deal with him when we didn't have the road work finished?
Mhm.
And he said it wasn't his responsibility, apparently it was our responsibility. Now, is this gonna be the same story?
No, so
Are we clear on the fact that he has to do the striping?
yeah, absolutely. It's shown on the plans and everything. The previous phase, he didn't buy, and it was still covered by the previous developer's bond. So we ended up doing the paving, and it was one of the rare instances where we did have to use the bond. Again, that was one supposed to be cash. So we had to use the developer's money, pay to have the street paved. So that's done now. Again, that's what this money was really there for, was to protect the city in case he wasn't able to pay it and went bankrupt, just like the last phase. So that's done now. So that's why we're recommending you can release that. The money will be holding with more than cover the striping and still any.
But have you actually had the conversation with Jim Cox that he is going to do it?
I told him that he has to do the striping. He understands. It's not, it's happening.
There's some, you know.
Well, that's, I mean, if he doesn't do it, we'll just hold this money until we get to the, to the point of frustration where, okay, you're not doing it, we'll just take the money and do it.
Okay, I just wondering.
It's simpler, the fact that it's posted as letter of credit and not as a bond makes it even easier, because that money is there. If he, defaults on his obligations, we can just go take the money.
Jody?
You want to do that? Oh, so you want to do the resolution, sorry.
Yes, we can do that resolution. Can I have a motion, please? Second. I'll second. Roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Tice,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Streithoff,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, thank you. Meg, I apologize, I gotta take 2 steps back, so I forgot to read development. So, I responded to your email about June 15th, meet with NDG. That was the general consensus from redevelopment committee. Email Davis regarding Tackle Direct.
Okay.
Project. So we'll, Mayor, if you want to send an email or whoever wants to send an email tomorrow, see if we can get everybody together on June 15th, which is next Tuesday, 5 p.m. or later is preferred due to people's careers and personal obligations. It would be beneficial.
It'll be a Zoom.
We can set up a Zoom link, yes. I know they prefer in person, but it's fine. We can set up a Zoom. Sorry about that, Maggie. No, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, we did have the vaccination clinic here on May 17th, so we're going to host another one for the second shot, but it's actually going to be open to anybody who wants the first shot as well. So, but it is primarily for the second shot that people who got the Moderna here on the 17th are invited back, but like I said, we'll have the second shot. That'll be June 21st, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday, June 21st, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I did put it on the city website. I'm working on getting on the Facebook page and stuff, but I wanted to do it a little closer too because sometimes people forget. So that's that. And then you did ask me about CHIP. I did send out the email that I got from Hardenberg, the letter about our statewide insurance running. So I should have commented that. I'm sorry. I didn't. But that's time for you to read the letters, see what it's about, and we can revisit it at the next meeting.
Yes.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Angela, City Attorney.
Thank you, Councilman. So, Councilwoman Heights talked about the ordinance 7/2021 to grant easement to prison entities. The only thing I wish to add is, I put in there that all the fees and costs will be borne by Ms. Clementi, not by the city. That will include the engineer's fees, my fees, and any filing fees for the easement. So we're clear on that. And then back in November of 2020, council did a resolution to sell 450 Philadelphia Avenue for $22,000. We're closing on June 18th for $30,000. So I would like to propose a new resolution to have the city sell the property for $30,000 instead of $22,000. So if I could have a roll call on that. So I think that's it.
I second it.
Ms. Strikeoff.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Cash,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Tricall,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes,
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
thank you. Engineer report, Brian, real quick before you start, I just want to touch base on that, invitation to consult on the New York Bright Light project. It's a solar project off the coast of New York. They invited us to, I guess, consult on it, under the advisement of Ryan and Engineering. It really doesn't benefit us because it's so far away. Well, not so far away, but it's not in relation to us here in Egg Harbor City or the Jersey coast. I'll have Ryan comment more on it, but we have to make a decision if we want to opt in or opt out on the console.
Yeah, so this is the second project, very similar offshore wind and solar project. Second one that we've gotten with this type of inquiry. The first one was right off Atlantic City and Ocean City. So in theory, it could impact the city, traffic coming down Route 30, things like that. We have some tangential relationship to that project. This one is for like Tom's River in North. It's for offshore wind and solar off the northern New Jersey coastline and New York coastline. So I don't really see any impact at city. My recommendation would be to not participate.
We kind of thought too, maybe it was Little Lake Harbor they were gearing towards, because we get a lot of mix up.
Yeah.
So
That
harbors.
makes more sense.
Real, before you go any further, Ryan, any questions about that? Does anybody want to move forward with it? We can do a quick vote on that as far as, yay or nay, moving forward and everything into the council. So if you can do a roll call back on that, appreciate it.
Do we understand what we're voting on?
No. What are we actually, are we saying that we're not participating, or are we saying?
Ryan, if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to participate or you don't.
That would be my recommendation to not participate. It's not really relevant to the city.
So a yes vote is we're not participating.
So a motion.
Have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All right, roll call.
Brown,
My phone was breaking up. What are we voting on?
No problem. Go ahead.
It like went out and went back and logged me back in.
So there's an offshore wind and solar project off the northern New Jersey coast to New York coastline. They had to
Okay.
reach you to the city to see if you guys wanted to participate in their public process. My recommendation is not to. It's far enough away. There's not really any impact on the city. So, if it's something you guys are interested in, go for it, but I would recommend not participating.
so the vote
I'm
will be,
going, no.
all right, yes means
So,
no.
yes means no. Yeah, a yes vote is to not participate.
Clark,
Yes.
yes.
There it is.
Wait, I meant yes. Ryan, you confused me.
We
You
got it.
said yes means
And
no
Right.
after I voted.
Right.
not to-
I was trying to clarify, so. we got it.
Dash,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes, no. I'm following up.
There you go.
Sefton, Timbers,
Yes.
Tricall,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, Ryan, now the press is yours.
All right, so a couple things, the recreation grant for the urban parks. If we still want to submit that, we have to have a public hearing on June 29th, which is literally like 5 minutes, and we're totally via Zoom. But we'll have to advertise it on Monday, the 14th, the public hearing on 29th. Exactly. And we'll need at least 5 council members to log in 5 minutes. Just go through it, presumably there won't be participation. Atlantica, we received a letter from DOT that said that we need to start construction in the next 30 days. We awarded the contract 7 months ago now, I think. We were just waiting to hear back from the Finance Commission. We finally got a response from them a couple weeks ago, but it's not something that they're going to be able to resolve in the next 30 days. So we are sending a letter to Finance saying, we're going to address your concerns, but we're starting construction. Choice this one, we're shipping it back. So we're scheduling a pre-construction meeting, we'll be coordinating with DOT. My guess is he'll just, get started a little bit at first, and when his other contractors will go on. But at least we gotta get started. So, we should see that happen in the next 30 days. What else? tennis courts, I haven't heard anything back. I did try contacting him again, reach back out, so. I didn't hear anything there. The only other thing I have on the list was the New Jersey Transit pedestrian stuff. And everything. So, nothing else, if somebody has any questions.
Questions for Ryan?
What are we doing with the CDBG again? Are we gonna go with the county?
I mean, that's up to you guys, but I think that would guarantee that you'll get some money.
Is this not coming up soon too?
We're gonna- What's that?
I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, I don't think we've got anything for this year's. The email you forwarded was actually from last year.
Yeah, I know, I don't think
I haven't seen the
I've got a
announcement.
bunch there that I didn't get an answer. But I
Did you get anything?
recently re-forwarded them.
I don't remember seeing it.
I think I missed it, except the DCA one. I'll go back.
No, don't worry about it. It's from last year.
Yeah, like I said, that was the only one.
I think it was,
that
I
this year.
think it was like, it wasn't New Jersey, it might have been New Jersey, one of them was New Jersey Transit. Remember with Bill weighed in on it with the MVP grant and all that? He said
Yeah,
what we could use it for.
I think that one is part of one of the resolutions that we have
Oh,
tonight.
good.
And then, I think there was one other one that we, I think, applied for. The Green Acres one that I recommended against because of the restrictions that come with that.
I'll check the date on the last year's agreement. I want to say it's more towards September.
Well, they usually announce sometime in the summer in the application,
Yeah.
do like
So
September.
he usually sends a letter, then he always sends a letter asking.
Yeah,
If
I
you
want to
want
say
to-
September or after.
Yeah, well, that's one thing after the program, they'll send a letter out right after that. But yeah, I mean, given the lack of success last couple of years, it really makes sense to just.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, moving on to number 14, resolution to amend the 2021 Egg Harbor City municipal budget. Again, do we have any questions or comments regarding the budget meeting and the budget moving forward? If not, may I have a motion to amend the 2021 Egg Harbor City municipal budget?
I'll make a motion, my second.
All right, roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Heiss. Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Tritoff,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 15, resolution, self-examination of the 2021 budget. NJSA 48-4-78B has authorized the local finance board to adopt rules that permit municipalities in sound fiscal condition to assume the responsibility normally granted to the Director of the Division of Local Government Services of conducting the annual budget examination. The governing body of the city of Egg Harbor that is in accordance with NJAC 530-7.6A and 7.6B, and based upon the chief financial officer certification, the governing body has found the budget has met the following requirements: payment of interest and debt redemption charges, deferred charges and statutory expenditures, cash deficit of preceding, reserve for uncollected taxes, other reserves and non-disbursement items, any inclusions of amounts required for school purposes. If there's no questions or comments regarding this, may I have a motion? Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Tritoff,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, moving on to resolution number 16 on the agenda, adopt 2021 amended budget. It is hereby certified that the approved budget complies with the requirements of law and approval is given pursuant to NJSA 40A-4-7A-B and NJAC 530-7. It is further certified that the municipality has met the eligibility requirements of NJAC 537-7.4 and 7.5, and that our chief financial officer has completed the local examination in compliance with NJAC 530-7.6. Be it resolved by the council members of the city of Egg Harbor City, County of Atlantic, that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated for the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount. Any questions or comments? If not, may I have a motion for us to adopt the budget? Second, please.
Second, Brown.
Roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Tritoff,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Moving on to 17, resolution to authorize cooperative purchasing contract National Co-op Award, Napa Auto Parts. City purchasing agent utilizing the New Jersey local finance bulletins and documentation received from Sourcewell desires to extend the award of a contract for auto parts to Napa Auto Parts through Sourcewell. City Council of the City of Egg Harbor of the County of Atlantic and State of New Jersey that the contract awarded to Napa Auto Parts through Sourcewell for the purchase of auto parts be extended for the contract period September 7th, 2020 through September 6th, 2021. Any questions or comments?
Jody, do you want to make notes that we get advertised for this and?
This was advertised, just purchasing along the county co-op, the state has guidelines on it, so.
I have a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Ice,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Resolution to authorize execution of grant agreement with Atlantic County Fiscal Year 22 Municipal Alliance Grant. Common Council of the City of Carver County, Atlantic State of New Jersey recognizes that the abuse of alcohol and drugs is a serious problem in our society amongst persons of all ages, and therefore has an established municipal alliance committee. Common Council of City of Egg Harbor further recognizes that it is incumbent upon not only public officials, but upon the entire community to take action to prevent such abuses in our community. Council of the City of Egg Harbor has applied for funding to the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse through the County of Atlantic. Council of the City of Egg Harbor does hereby authorize submission of a strategic plan to the Egg Harbor City Municipal Alliance grant for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $5,539.64. Any questions or comments? Have a motion, please.
Make a motion.
A second.
Roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Ice,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Resolution to authorize Representative Vernick to submit state aid application through NJ DOT for the transit path extension. Anybody want to comment on this? Brian or Judy?
Sure.
In regards to this?
So the transit path extension and the citywide bikeway 21, the ones that we applied for last year, were not funded. They're essentially both trying to close the one gap that they have in the citywide bike path. Right now, we're funded almost up to New Orleans Avenue. We're funded all the way down East Week Street and all the way out the lake. At that end, and the other end, we're funded all the way down Atlantic to train stations. So that's the last gap. So we're just applying for trying to connect the bike lanes on New Orleans Avenue to close that gap. Again, for those two, one transit path extensions, Atlantic Avenue and bike lanes down. Municipal aid application. We had talked previously about doing apply for the 1-200 blocks of Washington. So that's still everyone's desire, what that is, or municipal aid application.
That's very good.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
All right. And then you might as well do road,
Well, that's,
comment on 21 also.
well, that's right, that's 19, 20, and 21,
Okay.
that's you covered all three.
So may I have, we'll go right through them. If nobody has any questions or comments? May I have a motion for number 19 resolution?
Motion. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Number 19 is the transit.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Ice,
Yes.
Sefton, Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Ritchie.
I may have a motion for the municipal aid for various locations.
So make that.
And that was 100 and 200, right?
Correct.
All right, Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Ice,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. And last one is the citywide bikeway extension. Have a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Ice,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, moving on to 22, resolution to renew the following liquor licenses from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. This is an annual thing we do. Larry Retail Consumption for the following 105 LLC, MRM LLC, Egg Harbor Fest House LLC, 1400 White Horse Pike, WH Pike LLC, and Joshi Liquor Incorporated. If there's no questions or comments, may I have a motion, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number 23, this is the ordinance for Mrs. DiClemente, accessing the easement. Ordinance number 7, introduction, 2021, granting access easement to Kristen DiClemente over block 7.07, lot 9 on the tax map of the city of Egg Harbor. May I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second, Brown.
May I have a motion to advertise the notice of introduction in the Hamilton Gazette on June 16, 2021 for public hearing on June 24, 2021.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And we're going on to number 24, the bill list. Any questions or comments with the bill list? If not, may we have a motion?
Second.
Second, Brown.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Sefton, Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Mayor, the floor is yours for your final comments.
Just thankful for the government who supplied the grant money, the COVID relief money, so that we now have a 0% or a 0 cent tax increase. So that's always good news. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Heist,
Nothing.
Councilwoman Sefton, Councilwoman Brown,
Nothing.
Councilman Dash.
Yeah, just real briefly, on Memorial Day weekend, on that, Sunday, I had an issue with my warden. I sent a text message to Keith Adams. He had to come right out, cross the lines, go down to the street. I did that with Tim. Tim came to my house, followed up, make sure everything was good. So I'd like to just say thank you to both of those gentlemen. It's a pleasure having, those type of employees with the city that are so attentive, especially on the holiday weekend. And when I called, quite frankly, I just thought I was gonna be leaving a message, but I had action like within a half an hour. So thank you both.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Trithol,
You're nothing but this time.
Councilman Timbers, Councilman Wright.
Yeah, I got a couple things. First, I just want to remind everybody, June 26th, 6 to 10 at Crossroads will be considered speak and beer. I do have the tickets. I just picked them up today. So if anybody needs tickets, just reach out to me. We'll be selling them at the concession stand Tuesdays 6 to 7, Saturdays 10 to 11. We're also looking for if anybody wants to donate a gift basket or whatever that we can do for our raffles to help raise money for kids. Also, football and cheer sign-ups have officially started. If you sign up before July 1st, we are purchasing new uniforms this year for, so your game jersey with your name on the back would be for free if you sign up before July 1st. Anything after that's $40 extra sign up fee. They are also Tuesdays 6 to 7 and Saturdays 10 to 11 for sign-ups. My football camp will start the last Tuesday of June. Don't know what the date is there off the top of my head, but it's the last Tuesday of June. It'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays for June and July. We can go 5 nights a week in August.
29.
Also, pretty much it for that. Only maybe the mayor can mention. I got a couple phone calls yesterday, and there was a SWAT team at the St. Nick's Church that were out there doing training. A couple of residents were worried that, wondering why they didn't get a heads up or.
Yeah, I saw it myself.
And you got
I didn't
50
get it myself
armed
either.
guys out there with rifles shooting bullets and stuff like that, and a lot of the residents were a little worried and upset. They thought there was hostages in the church. They didn't know what was going on. But I don't know if there's anything that they're supposed to report saying that there's a police presence in the residence area. I don't
A
know.
lot of times what they do though, but usually not this time because there's kids in school.
Mhm.
They'll all come together and I guess they use that as a parking area.
Right.
And then they do safety drills
Mhm.
and, active shooter drills, things like that. So it could very well have been that, but I did not receive any notification.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was something that they
Was
should.
it county?
They said it was a SWAT team, that's all I know.
No,
But my wife said it was all
Yeah.
different departments.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I was at work, I didn't know, I just got, some phone calls and then I got some lecture when I got home. I was just wondering, I don't know if there was like something that they should have, at least give the residents a heads up, or I don't know how.
Well, since you brought it up, I did talk to Mark today. He said that if you see a lot of motorcycles in the area on Saturday going through at Harbor City,
Mhm.
apparently there's a big motorcycle gang in Galloway, so they could be riding through here.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
or you get phone calls.
Yeah. But,
Oh, and so sorry.
I didn't know if there was anything that, are they supposed to reach out? I mean, I don't know, I think it just censor state.
We tried to reach out to the owner of the property, didn't think they would have.
It was saying that.
They were
So, I
in the
mean-
church parking lot.
But I mean, when the church.
I would have thought, yeah, I mean,
The church owns that still. Can I comment on one more thing though, that you should know? And the reason I brought the motorcycle thing up is because Cedar Creek High School girls softball is playing a championship game, state championship game on Saturday. And if they win, we're gonna have a parade.
Yep.
So that was the discussion I had with Mark with the motorcycle.
Right.
But I should have mentioned that earlier, I'm sorry. But the game's at 2:00,
Yep.
if anybody wants to go.
that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman Clark?
Nothing at this time.
All right, before we go to public comment, I'd just like to thank everybody again for their diligent work with the budget. Everyone from the mayor down to council to our administrative staff in City Hall. I think I can speak for everybody up here in residence. We greatly appreciate you and greatly thank you. So with that, may I have a motion on the public comment? Second, please. All right, anybody from the public have any comments?
I'd like to speak, please.
Sure, Ms. Galloway.
Could you hear me?
We can hear you.
Could you hear every word I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, because I could only hear half the words that were said tonight. It's very difficult to hear people talking when they're facing the opposite direction of the computer that's recording this. So I'd just like to suggest that maybe the three people who are giving reports at the meeting sit on the other side of the table or move the location of the camera so that the voices are coming at the computer, because I didn't hear anything the solicitor said, although I saw her head moving. And from this end, it looked like Cousin It talking. But it was very difficult to hear what was being said.
Alleviate your worries. I said that.
You don't have to repeat it. I'm sure it's fine. You guys set a meeting for June 15th at 5 p.m.
That's not a public meeting, it's a committee meeting.
What's the meeting for?
Tackle Direct.
To what?
Tackle Direct.
Tackle Direct.
You don't remember that one, Annette? We've been.
Yeah, I remember that. And it's not a public meeting?
No, it's a committee meeting for redevelopment.
And how many people will be at that meeting? How many council people?
At least 5.
We only have 4 per committee, so, and I'm a member of all the committees. So if I go, it'll be 5.
Is that a quorum?
No,
Or
It's a com-
council person.
yeah, 4 council and then 1 mayor.
Okay. I wanted to mention during the workshop meeting, you talked about the $10,000 grant for the lake. And made me think, there was breaking news today that Congress is probably going to have an infrastructure deal going soon. It's a lot smaller than the president proposed, but I'm asking if Egg Harbor City is prepared to have any kind of shovel-ready infrastructure projects available when that money's released. And I was thinking that if you're gonna be using that $10,000 grant, maybe it can be used to for the engineer to come up with a plan to do the bulkhead the right way and perhaps use infrastructure money to make the repairs. That's all.
We have to look to see whether that engineering design is eligible expense of the current grant. We look at that.
Did you hear that response, Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm losing my voice. I apologize. My name is Moshe Math. I live in Galloway. The reason I'm speaking tonight is because there's been different job fairs, and I know many people are doing calculations and saying how much I can earn staying home versus working. But one of the things that came out that's not commonly known is that once you start working, you have to work at least 20 weeks before you can qualify to collect unemployment. In an area like ours, as the economy changes, because we're not a year-round economy, we are in the casinos per se, but even the casinos have layoffs. Some of the people who may be waiting to go back to work because they're collecting all this money start work and then get laid off and won't be able to collect unemployment. So I'm suggesting if there's information out regarding job fairs, try to get the notice out to people somehow through City Hall or whatever, so that more people, to encourage them to show up, so that they don't end up with, in essence, less money than they would if they took less now to work versus staying at home. I'll stop at that point. Thank you all for your time. And to those dads out there, since Father's Day is a week and a half away, we wish you all a happy Father's Day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Yes, Kim Hess, New Orleans Ave. I just wanted to first thank everyone for, it seems quite successful, the Peace Pilgrim Park resolution that was made. So thanks, Mag, thanks, Jackie, and everyone else. The other thing I wanted to just say is I do agree with Nanette as far as I couldn't hear a lot of the wording there. So I agree with her there. Other than that, I have nothing to say. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
Just be advised that anyone now is welcome to attend in person moving forward. We are still allowing the option of Zoom and conference call, but you are more than welcome to attend in person also. Anybody else from the public have any comments? All right,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Hey, before we don't have everybody here, we don't have a current picture on.
We're not